The most courageous act is still to think for yourself. That's a quote accredited to Coco Chanel. And over the last few weeks, we've been talking about our core values. So this week, we're going to be discussing our mission to empower people, what that means, and why it's important in a world overwhelmed with various influences that it is important to avoid what I call personally the sloth of mind, and to remember to still, despite all this information overload, to find and think for yourself. Hello there, and thank you for joining us here at Lions Guide. I'm Dale Walls. I'm founder of Lions Guide, and I'm joined by my fellow co-founders to kick you off this week. I've got Keith Higgs, who's our high performance development director, and Keith Flip Griffin, who is our leadership development director. Gentlemen, how are we doing? What is good? What do you think of the topic this week?
Good morning.
Powering people. It's a good one. Not just inspire people. I know when we were rolling around this value, we had a pretty good discussion on it. We want to do more than just inspire. We want to empower. And what does that mean? Give someone the tools and the courage and confidence to, face fear and actually take action. And that's where empowerment comes in. And so I love this topic.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's definitely separates itself from inspiring someone. I think that's in a different level of it. And I also think it's different from enablement too. I think there's a technical aspect of empowerment, which is enablement, in my opinion, and that's kind of the stuff, the checkbook list stuff, things that talking about. But really, this came to the forefront for us. Like, I know we all talked about it, and it was going to be something that we just did, maybe even in the vision, but it became definitely a core value as well. And I think that's how much it stands out. I mean, it's in the vision, and it's also now a value that we really held dear because we wanted to take action on it. And so definitely important for us.
Yeah, and I think, like, just for those of you just chiming in for the first time, or maybe not clear on, our core values and what we're talking about, we took time earlier in this year and just wanted to bring clarity to the work we were doing. And one of the ways you do that, a few ways that you do that, is you get clear on what your mission is, what we're trying to get accomplished here. And, we sat down, and I think for this exercise of coming up with our core values, it was every bit of 2 hours where we're just throwing stuff up against the whiteboard and seeing what is representative of what we're here to do, what we're here to build. So we came out with established clarity, a commitment to growth, provide camaraderie, empower people, be bold and courageous, and make a positive impact. And we're talking about empower people this week. But I wanted to kind of point out that the reason we did this was this serves as a filter, if you will, on everything that we do, right? And as we were going through this exercise, establishing our core values, the one empower people really came from, like, look, we're not here to just, inspire and motivate and grandstand and pump our fist and point our fingers. Like, we really want to help people, lead the way themselves, right? We, not come say, tell me what to do, but tell me how I can help myself, and give them the tools and our insights and or even forum, or, to explore, and this was that. I mean, because we had all those words on the board. Is it enable? Is it motivate? Is it inspire? Is it impact? And we landed on empower, which, I thought was really spot on. That's what we're here to do, not to be a crutch for anyone, but help people, find those answers they're looking for their own formula.
And I just want to say, in my personal life and some of the projects I've been working on, how powerful the exercise is to sit down in a room and determine what your values are within the organization. Because I'm dealing with a couple of projects that are kind of unraveling because we didn't do that. And the hindsight being 2020, our values didn't align. And had we done this process, we probably would have avoided some just time and resources and energy going into things that were going to fall apart anyway. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate going through this process with you guys and really having the deep conversation, because we were pitching around inspire, and it elevated to empower. And I think all of us feel empowered by having these core values and talking about these and getting together regularly to bring our values up continuously.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Flip, I know on the leadership side, this is something you talk a lot with our leadership development clients, on how to be a better leader, right? Because, we come across a number of leaders that are overwhelmed, because they're just taking it all on themselves. And, and there's this element of empowering their own people that I think I see that conversation come up a lot. So any thoughts there on,
Yeah, I think to me, it's about, we can work, like there's a lot of wordplay within leadership development, and you can use them in different ways. I think when we talk about empowerment, I think one of the things we're talking about too is creating, and Jay just sort of mentioned it, right? Which was, you can use the word culture. I like to use the environment, but if you can create the surrounding, I almost think about it as a bubble, right? If you can create that bubble, that environment where you have the trust, where you have the loyalty and the respect of everyone around you, what you're able to do then is, you as the leader are able to trust them to do the things that they need to do. And you can ratchet that up in a sense of saying, what can I let them do more? What can I let them do more? How can I let them do more? And that's and sometimes that also includes giving them the new tools to do more, right? That's the enablement portion of it. But the empowerment is really to say, how can I let, what you end up doing is you're watching them grow right before your eyes, of the people that you have the privilege to lead. You're watching them grow and do these amazing things. And it's twofold, right? So the double edge of all this is that, one, you get to let go a little bit and just be kind of the shepherd, if you will, and watch this flock do an amazing thing for you, and for the company and your team. But at the same time, they're all growing as well, like individually, to really do things for themselves, to go, oh, Jane is giving us the power to make our own decisions here that's affecting the outcome of this overall team that we have. And that's like, it's immeasurable, the amount of things you're doing on individual levels when you're able to empower people, and when you create and then as the team, you just go, what can't we do? And it's so powerful to do. It's freeing, right? If there's a lot of people that come to us, especially from like leadership standpoints and CEOs and small business kind of team leads, and they go, I feel I just have this weight of taking everything on. And listen, admittingly, and everybody knows this, people have a hard time letting go. Well, if you create that all, you empower them, you enable them, and you do all this, and inspire, by the way, because I think it's very much a different thing to do, right? If you do all that, what you end up doing then is you've creating this environment. And if you think of it that way, instead of just tasking them, oh, I'm just going to task them to do something else. That's not it. Like it's above that, right? You may start with a task because you need to gain trust and all that. But when you get to that point where you just go, I don't need to worry about it. I know that John and Sarah and they got it. I don't even need to. That's like when that's when you've turned it on. And they're just coming to you with, hey, I have some roadblocks. Got it. How can I help you? Like when you have that environment, it's amazing what you can do. And it's an amazing feeling. You go home on a Friday and you're like, dude, we're good. Like there is, everybody checks out at 5 p.m. and in a good way, and nobody picks it up again until, Monday. Like there's your environment that you just have. And that's, everybody has their time to release. Everybody has their, that's the way you want to be.
Yeah, I think the other element is that, right? Like when everyone's rowing in the same direction, they know what they need to do, and they feel. And we talk commander's intent a lot, right? Where we're talking about the destination that we're trying to go and the responsibility of the leader to, cast that vision so everyone knows, and then help empower them so they can work together as a team. It's important. Jay, talk to me about the. I call it the sloth of mind, but we're in this information age where we are just overwhelmed with clickbait and headlines and 4 steps to, Lamborghini life.
Man.
Talk to me about like, the need to think for yourself and be empowered yourself,
God, we're inundated. We live in the most abundant nation and country the world has ever seen, but that comes at a cost, right? In this very capitalist society, it's marketing, and these marketers are so good because they have ingrained psychology with their marketing. And I mean, I got my other screen up here, and it just popped up. It's information overload. There's pop-ups. There's things scrolling. This person dies. It's all clickbait, and there's like headlines that are drawing you in. And it's just, we weren't designed, I think, for all of these like shiny buttons and objects and rabbit holes. And I think it's really it's distracting us. We're losing focus. It's manipulating us to make purchases or feel a certain way or get sucked into the news or sucked into arguments. It's all designed, and I think it's taking us down a negative trajectory. And so we really got to like put up some boundaries and guard ourselves from this, be aware that this is happening and do what we can to mitigate it. But it's overwhelming, and it's kind of troubling in a lot of ways. It's disempowering, because it's designed to suck us in, and it's designed to get us addicted to products and things. And so, yeah, I'm concerned about, how it's affecting our country.
Yeah, it's just like you said, it's everywhere as you look. I mean, a few years back, I took a trip to Italy, and one of the things I noticed, I don't think I noticed it until I got back, which was I was not sold to 24/7 when I was over there. The billboards, the headlines, the commercial, I just wasn't. And then the minute I stepped back on American soil, man, it was just like, boom, like, why aren't you buying this? And you need to buy that. And did you know this? And here's a new outrage. And it was like, whoa. And it was just, it just felt like just this wave of come at me. And I was like, holy crap. Like, for last, week plus, like, I'm not seeing any of this. And not that I was like, when we were out and about, the culture here of just this, like you said, it's, I believe in free market and capitalism and all that stuff. But I just wonder if this consumerism piece has gone too far, and people are not, like, they're so overwhelmed. Like, they don't have the mental energy or capacity to slow down and challenge the information, to seek clarity, this clickbait stuff. People don't have time to read the articles. They just see that headline and go, yep, that's it, man. So-and-so, drowning kittens on his spare time, like, off with his head. It's just crazy stuff that you just got to slow down and, put it in the right bucket. I don't know.
Yeah, I see that all the time. People comment. You see the comment thread, and it's like just bashing the headline. But if you actually read the article, which is designed to get you to click on it, you're like, oh, it has nothing to do with the headline. Like, what do you? And you guys in the comments are a bunch of Muppets. Like, just what's going on? And it's ridiculous. It's and we're all veterans. And I work a lot in the veteran community, and that's like one of the blessings and one of the reasons I think veterans enjoy deployment so much. It's a singular focus on one thing. You just wake up, do your job. You're with the same people. You don't have any of these other distractions out there. And I really and that's why I like going to the woods so much. That's why I'm into overlanding and outdoor adventures, all that stuff, is because you get out there. It's just a nice break from all the machines that are taking over our life, right? And having that mental break. And it's like, ooh, but as soon as you get back in this environment, it's empowering. It's overpowered. It's not empowering. It's overpowering.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. We see it with and for our Lions Guide viewers, we all have kids almost around the same age. Dale's is a little bit behind Jay and I, but that's where I don't worry about myself. I think we get to the point where we've understood it, right? Our clients don't I think our clients kind of see that too, because if you're coming to us, we've always talked about, that you can, that you're coming there for a reason type of a deal. And maybe you don't know about it. And maybe that's why our reach is there. But when the information, I've taken it a lot back. I think we all have taken our steps to take it back a little bit more. I just look at the toxicity of it all and go, that's my drawing line of it all, right? Because here's the thing. We all have to manage it somehow. And we have to pass that down, whether that's to our clients and customers or whether that's to our children, because we're leaders in both capacities. We have to find a way to be able to filter it, right? There's got to be a good filter to go junk, not junk, right? Our phones do it. Our phones do it for us when they find a number that we don't know, or they think it's a prime junk. It already does that for us, but we don't have that in the rest of life, right? And that's kind of what we're looking for when we talk about this, is that we're looking for the junk folder and for life, and go, okay, I just need to automatically put that in the junk folder of what we're of life, right? I want to give that to my kids and go, look, junk. Like, and sometimes you want to play in the junk, right? Sometimes I want to see what the top 10 celebrities, I don't know. Sometimes I get into that. We all do, right? There's time to veg out. But I think, this talks about why we're here for ourselves, why it's important we talk about empowerment. If you could empower yourself to find your own junk file in life and go, I don't have time for that one. That one's not there for me, right? Go put it in your junk file. Maybe you want to see how the 10 best celebrities got. Maybe that's okay, right? Like, you want your coffee and you want to veg out, great. But I think we can find your own junk file, and you can empower yourself to do all the rest of the stuff that you say you want to do, right? Man, that's what it is. If I can that, man, I'd sell it. I'd market the heck out of it, is what I would do. Wait,
I think in the interest of empowering people, like, here's the filter: having clear goals that you're focused on right now. And if you know what your goals are for the next 90 days for this year, when you catch yourself like in this clickbait trap and you think, just how is this serving my current goals right now? There's your filter, right? Like, if that stuff's just not relevant, non-impactful, not meaningful to your actual meaningful objectives in life right now, then there's your filter, because it's gonna play real quick. Like, man, what is the 10 shoe sizes of the most richest people in the world got to do with trying to get my kids' college fund at this level by the end of the year? Absolutely nothing, right? And that's it's just I think that's it. I think with some of this information overload and overwhelm, people just maybe aren't clear. They're a little bit directionless, and that makes they're more susceptible to this type of noise and getting sucked into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at these headlines here. Donald Trump crashes Jesus' Last Supper during Easter-themed SNL cold open. Virgin Mary bursts into flames during a Easter parade. It's just designed to suck you in. And here's the deal. I see it on my Facebook all the time. Donald Trump, blah, blah, blah. Joe Biden, blah, blah, blah. These guys, I mean, yes, they have very little relevance in your overall life. And what's happening in Washington, D.C., like, you have more like going on in you have a greater impact. Your worries should be in your home and in your business and in your personal life. A lot of these things are just designed out there to disempower you and to pull you into these just nonsensical arguments. And I see so many people engage in this stuff. I'm like, and so many good people, like really wicked, smart people. And it's just, when I started to because I was really wrapped up into that about 10 years ago. I was listening to talk radio all the time, getting so angry, it would affect my mood. And it was so disempowering, because it was taking me away from what I really needed to be doing. I'd come in and be upset about something that this president did or Congress did. And I'm like pissed off, and I'm like taking it out on my kids, or it's affecting my kids. I don't feel like going to throw a ball right now because I'm angry. Well, that's just silly. It's nonsense. And when I really started to cut that stuff out, I felt more empowered. So, yeah, think for yourself and just be aware of this nonsense that's out there.
I think the other aspect of it too is people slowing down and again, back to our top of our core values, right? Establish clarity. Like, when you see this stuff, like, one, you got to judge its relevance to what is meaningful to you, like was mentioned. But if it is, now you got to dig into the clarity of it. Like, what am I seeing true? Who is saying this? What, again, instead of taking everything at face value and really going in, like, you see, we'll make a softer topic, right? You see all this health stuff out there. Like, you should be eating nuts. You shouldn't be eating nuts. You should be eating this. Like, there's all that. Like, you really got to slow down and go, okay, like, is this a problem that I have that I need to go investigate, right? Do I need to dig into this? And again, find your own answers, right? You got to do your own research and come to where, I mean, like, this is something that, I think in my beginnings days of this work, right? I would caution and tell people, like, look, man, I could write a book and tell you everything I did over the last 20 years, and you can go copy paste that, but it means nothing, right? What the things I've done were what worked for me, the way I found my way. Now, it can serve as an example, but I think we're quick to like go out there and just find, like, give me the answers to my test here. And you may go find information, but you need to kind of take ownership of your own use of that information, right? Instead of just taking it as the gospel and like, well, the internet told me if I eat a beet every single day, I'll never have a heart attack. Like you see this stuff, and you just got to really slow down and judge its relevance and bring, we talk about SMART goals all the time, right? Like, what are your goals in this information? Is it relevant? And you really have to test against it, right? So just because, any of us did a certain thing to lose weight or accomplish a goal or get that promotion or whatever, those again just serve. That's where inspiration comes in. That serves as an inspiration that these things can be done, but they don't serve as the blueprint per se exactly that if someone else were to follow them exactly guarantees their success. You got to slow down and go, okay, here's a way. Let me start taking this for my own and learn from my practice of it and start coming out with, what works for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think what's important with that too, and we've talked about this before, and I'm very adamant about this, is that even what we preach and what we kind of have worked for us, it's called Lion's Guide for a reason, right? It's a guide, right? There is no stone written rules on it, and when you and you have the same thing when you empower people and you empower yourself. You need to find what works for you, and that's not. And sometimes it is, hey, what did you do? I'm going to try that, right? And it might work exactly the same for you as it did, or for me as it did for you. But the truth of the matter is that everybody's different. We live in different places. We have different situations for our home lives. We have different situations for our work lives, and everybody's like that. So you have to find what works. And that's the same way for your team, right? Like, you could do a blanket kind of whatever rule or guidance for your team, but that may work for some and it may not work for others, right? You may have an older generational person on your team and a younger generational person, and there may need to be a middle ground for that all to empower them, whatever that is, right? One may be very much, dude, tell me what to do, send it on this, right? I'll figure this out, right? Whatever. And some may not. It's just not comfortability for that. And so I think that's the other point to this, is that everybody's different. Everybody's going to get empowered and feel motivated to be empowered in very much different ways than someone else. And you just got to there's a basis to it all, right? Eat healthy, exercise. Like, we know that those are some very much staple things that will help you on that journey. But you figuring out a way, right? Dale may go run 100 milers. Jay may do, rucksack runs. I may have to do just the elliptical, right? Because that's just what I can. But it's the same, right? It's the concept of what you're doing, and again, what the effects on my body and the effects on your team, right? When you imply those things, are going to be the same across the board. Then if you figure that piece out, and I think that was what our goal was when we thought about empowering people. And really thought and put it into the vision and put it into as a core value, was that we thought about it and said, what we're giving it's not end all be all. You have to be able to try, and it's a trial and error world, and that we live in and that we go through all the way, until we're in the grave. And so I think that's really important, is that you need to find your own kind of piece of the puzzle to all this and see where it fits for you.
Yeah, and I think some of the, when I look at some of my leadership positions, how do we create an environment to, empower people? Well, I think first and foremost, you've got to listen to the going back to your ecosystem environment flip, right?
Yep.
You got to be open-minded to being able to listen to where everyone is at. Listen carefully to what people want, what their vision is, what they want to accomplish, what are their individual goals,
yep,
and how can you help them achieve them while achieving the organizational goals.
Perfect.
So being able to listen. And then, when people will support what they create. So if you give them the opportunity to execute on something, then as a leader, you've got to give them the resources necessary to achieve that. Give them the tools. Because if you ever you're working on a project where you didn't have the resources that you need to execute it, it's so disempowering and frustrating, because, the organization would still want you to get it done, but they're not giving you any resources. That is a recipe for disaster. And that's why people will, if you don't address those things, people will be frustrated and they'll leave. And then, providing mentorship and opportunities for growth. And then, building trust, all of those things create that environment of empowerment.
Yeah, I want to just add one little thing that you just said something. I wrote it down. I took a moment because I hadn't heard it in that way. And support what you create. I just had an example of a client who was like, "Hey, all right, how do I motivate them? I'm going to give them bonuses on this next thing." And I said, "Listen, that's great. And paychecks do drive. I get it. I get it. People want more money in their pockets, and it'll, especially during this time." I said, but if you add the piece where they've done it, right? It came from them. The idea came from them. It came from the ground up. Like, support what you create. I said, the only way I will, and I used the word allow because it wasn't my decision ultimately. I said, but the only way that I would allow you to just say bonuses is if you put this extra piece on where they had the buy-in too. I said, if you put the buy-in with the cash, right? And the bonus, so buy-in and bonus, I said, it'll multiply 1,000,000, right? Like, you'll accelerate that what you're looking for faster. Sometimes you don't have the bonus. So now how do I create the buy-in? It takes longer, but it's there, right? It's the lessons that you learn. But man, you just said it. I wrote it down. It's a staple. If you can get them to believe and create what you need to put down, you don't even have to. It's like a walk away. Like, they did it, right? The ownership is theirs. Such a great point, Jay. That is a great statement, and it's one. Support what you create. That's an amazing one. I like that.
People will fight for their project. Like, if it's their project, it becomes their baby. They will fight for it. They will find ways to resource it. They will go to bat for it. Versus if you just dictate you're going to do this and not give them any like parameters, no one wants to do that. That's not very fun, right? Yep. So I think that's critical in all the, in any leadership position that I had where I did that, like it usually turns out really well. And that's what I, love about that commander's intent piece, right? You give them what the end state is, you give them the resources, you give them some boundaries, and then let them go for it. And they'll surprise you with what they'll accomplish.
Yeah. MacArthur, I think.
And then celebrate the success. And to what you were saying, Flip, like, you don't have to take credit for it. Give the credit to the people that executed it and celebrate it and clap. And man, and that's how you develop that tribe of people that will just want to work together. And guess what we want?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, no, and I think it's and we'll round it out with that. I mean, it's a good talk. This is it. We hit a lot of things where, this is about leadership, and whether it's leading yourself better, right? You got to think for yourself, right? If you want to lead your team better, you've got to think for yourself. You got to take the responsibility for the mission, right? And leading the way, right? No one's going to tell you exactly what to do. So you got it. We're in the Forge book club right now. We're reading Daring Greatly, and it gets into that. Like that, there's some vulnerability in that, right? Like that you might be wrong, and that's fine. You're going to learn from it, but always taking, well, they told me to do this, or the internet told me to do that, and that's just passing the buck. And really, like, to get the meaningful accomplishments that you're after, you really just got to take whole ownership of it, be vulnerable, think for yourself. You're going to win, you're going to learn, but you're going to keep moving forward. And at the end of the day, like Flip said, that's what we're here. We're here to help people who want that for themselves, and us serve as the guide to share our lessons, share some tools and resources so you can get out there and lead yourself and lead others better. So kick it off this week. We're go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
You said I just one thing that just kind of came to mind when I'm thinking about empowerment. A current project I have right now. I got 3 teenage daughters and a stepson, if you will. They're all learning to drive. They're all 15. And I had my daughter yesterday drive my truck, and she was just like apprehensive at first. Like, nah, I'm like, I'm going to get you in here. Just empowering her and giving her the tools and mentoring her through this process. Like, I could just sense after we drove around yesterday, we drove down some back roads and some gravel roads. Like, she just felt, she was beaming with pride, and she felt empowered. And then later we drove the 4x4 in the woods. Same thing, a little apprehension. Then she got in there and was doing good. And it feels good to help from a leadership perspective. It feels good to mentor someone, and then just seeing the response. So it doesn't have to be just your organization. It could be within your family, or, but I just it just came to mind. So I just wanted to share that. It's really awesome.
No, it's a spot on example,
And
right?
terrifying and terrifying.
And terrifying at the same time.
But isn't that it though? Whether you're in an organization, it's terrifying. Like you said earlier, Flip, like to give up control. Sure, it can be terrifying. But just think about the scalability,
100%.
the growth, the impact of doing so, you know, and it's
and the inevitability of your daughter and ours too, right? I'm going through it is that they're going to drive on their own someday, and they're going to be out there with crazy drivers, and we're not going to have control of that, right? And so if you can understand that perspective for your business and saying, hey, it's going to be hard for me in the very beginning. It's going to be hard for me. But again, create the environment around it where it's a trusting environment, where it's right, where you're trusting your people, right? You're respecting boundary. It'll be okay. It's going to be okay. You just got to get past that. I'm the same way, right? I'm sitting there on the other side, like ready to grab the wheel when they're too close to the white line, right? Or whatever, it's a great metaphor. It's exactly the same. And we've talked about the comparison of being a leader, in your personal life and in your professional life. And they are exactly this. Like there's not much differences, between the two. So, except you can't fail at the family thing. So
it's no fail mission.
That's right.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. Listen, if you guys listening, if you got any value from this or you got any feedback, comments, please drop it in the chat or whatever forum you're on in the comments. Love to hear from you. If this meant something to you, you got something out of it and you want some more, we've got open enrollment happening later this week. Depending on when you're listening, just check our website and you'll see when open enrollments are happening. But we've got enrollment coming up. If you're interested in working on yourself, you're looking for a growth-minded community and the tools and resources to level up to achieve your own goals and objectives. That's what our Forge is all about. We meet weekly. We've got our book club. We've got everything that we're doing to come together and grow together. And that's our Forge. If you are a business owner or an executive and you're looking to not only lead yourself, but lead others better, take a look at our mastery program. We've got opportunities there for one-on-one and group sessions where in small group where you work with other like-minded folks in the same seat as you are. I know you feel like your problems are unique and you're all alone, but you're not, and they're not unique, and we all deal with them. So it's great to get in that environment and kind of explore them together and learn together and grow together, have that accountability team that's got your back. And so that's our mastery program there. And then if you're an organizational leader and you're looking to help your leaders level up, we've got our workshops. We've got a 2-day workshop later this week with a client. Excited to get on that, but we're booking others throughout the year. So if you could use some help in instilling some good leadership in your organization, give us a call and let's talk about what you got going on and see if we can get in there and help you out in that objective. So that's lionsguide.com. Check it out, book a call, submit your application, and happy to hear from you. I think
it's time to get off the sidelines and get in the arena. Let's go. We're ready.
Yep, definitely. So gentlemen, have a great week. Thanks for hopping on today.
See you.
All right, everyone. See you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.